Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 58 of the new Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we are going to make beaded flower centers that you can use for flowers. You can use them on many different types of projects, but this is what we are going to make today. And I made these just with what we have in our stash or what we purchased for today. But I'm also going to show you a few more that I have. Those down there. These are a few more that I have made a long time ago. So if you have jewelry that you've torn apart or you just have some jewelry findings there, I have some here. These are made with what are called rondelles between them, and they're kind of like a bead spacer of some sort. So I made a lot of them with the rondelles, and then but also just little these were flat shell beads off of a necklace I tore apart. And these are bead caps here between these. So you just kind of want to have something between the beads if you can. Again, these are little shell beads, little flat shell beads came off of a necklace. And but here, this one does not have anything between them. It's just two different size beads. Instead of having anything in the middle of those beads. Here we have some more where I did two different colors of beads. And this one also was just beads. And then some of them I like opened up a bead cap to stick a bead in the middle just to make it look a little different. Some of them with like flat back pearls, or so just to show you can do. This one is just a little bit of bling in the center, kind of like what we have here. And so just to kind of show you a few different ways that you can do them, but with what we got today, we can do them, and we'll come up with these three very pretty ones here. And I've got a couple more colors that I have used. These are the beads from our butterfly. These are beads. I don't know where I got these pearl beads, but somewhere. I'm trying to think and I can't think. But anyways, these are just some pearl beads that I had. And then these are the wooden beads that are painted with the pink nail polish and then painted with the glitter nail polish because it just makes them sparkle more. Since they're just a wooden bead, they don't have that much sparkle. So I've already repainted some green ones. And all I did with those was just put the sparkle on them. Here are some that I painted with the blue fingernail polish, so they really have that nice pretty blue lacquer to it. And so to see what I might want for the center, I might want blue for the center, but I just painted one of the blue ones with just the sparkly because maybe I want the center to be a different color. So they're very simple to make. Now, I've seen people where they've just glued the beads together. I never had a real good time with that. It didn't work very well for me. So I forgot to bring out my scissors. So we need a piece of our wire. And also, you really should not cut wire with your regular scissors. But, and then I'm going to take off this red coating. And you can just, really just pull that off. I usually do it a little bit at a time. It seems to be a little easier for me that way. There. Okay, so maybe about like 4 to 6 inches of wire. And you want 6 beads. So what I'm going to do here, we'll start with the green one. Oh, and one of the green ones did not have a hole all the way through. So I did that one because I thought that one might be nice in the center. So you just want to make sure that your center bead, that the hole goes sideways so that it's not so noticeable, or that you put something on top of it. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 6 beads. And you can put more beads. You really can't put less. Here's 5. And with the 5, it's just really hard. I mean, I guess that is a circle, so I could do the 5. But then you've also we've got to glue our bling on there. So it really kind of takes 6 beads in order to get a better circle. And then you're just going to take your wire and twist it, just to make it nice and tight, nice and sturdy. And when we put our bling on there, that will make it even more sturdy. So now normally I just keep twisting and twisting till I get to the end. And then if I have a bead with a hole in it, this one I'm just going to try gluing in, you know, like this, so that you don't see the hole at all. But if I were going to use just a regular bead, I would put that bead on the wire that I just twisted up, and then just fold it to the center. Take your wire, put it down through the center, and this is going to be at the end. We don't put the center bead in till close to the end, like that. And then that wire, I just kind of curl it up underneath of there, but that just also holds that middle bead in better than just gluing it, but you can just glue it. So I just like to, the reason I use the wire instead of just trying to glue all of the beads together is, to me, it's easier to handle, because I can use that to hold on to. And plus, I know they're not going to just fall apart. So once you've done that, then you are going to put some bling on it. Now, we got this bling quite a while ago, and I think it was like, where are they here? I believe it was just 4. 1, 2, 3, and there's one down inside. So 1, 2, 3, yep. 4 pieces of this bling is all we need to wrap from front to back. And when you cut your bling apart, let's get a little more of this. It has all of these little like hairs on it that stick out the side, and you really don't want those, you know. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything, but it's nice to take those off. So I cut off, because I'm right-handed, I cut on the right side. I'm going to cut those all off before I cut my strip of just one line. And so it's easier to hang on to this way to cut those off of there. So now I'm going to go for a ways, because we need 6 of these, because we're going to go between each of the beads, wherever the beads meet. So, but this is just, like I said, you don't have to do this. I do it because I'm a little picky. You know, sometimes I try not to be too picky, but this is one of those things I can't stop myself from doing. I don't like those sticking out there. So just go in and get your scissors right close to the edge of your bling and just cut them off. And then when you cut the line off, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to push them up against this line that you're cutting. And so what that's going to do is it's going to cut those strings right next to your bling, and it's going to leave them sticking out on the next one over. So the next time you do it, you'll cut those off first. And it's easy to do when it's wide like this. When you get down to just one row, that makes it a little bit harder, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. So, but I'm just pushing my scissors right up against the bling so that I'm cutting right next to it and getting off those little, I call them little hairs because they're quite thin, but it's just a little bit of string that they've used to glue all of this together and keep it in place. So once I've done that, then I just cut it off. Again, right close to my bling. And there we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I already know that I need 4 pieces of this. If you have larger beads, you might need 5 pieces. When I first started, I think I was cutting them 5 pieces long. And what happened was I was just winding up having to cut off. Now, I cut off those right next to, so I'm going to now cut off these hairs and then go 4 more and cut right next to the bling. And now I've got hairs sticking out here. So I'm just going to cut off those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need 6 of these, so we've got 3. And if you forget to cut off the hairs and you go to glue it down and your glue's on there and your glue's hot, stick your the hairs that are on the end like this, stick them in the middle, because you won't see them down there anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is number 6. There we go. Okay, and then you're just going to take your hot glue and just put it a little bit. You don't have to go way down in there, just a little bit in the center, and then around the outside edge to about the middle. And then I just go in, just put that on there like that and wrap it around. Now going just to the middle leaves that last one free, and then I can just go in at the end and attach those down. I find it easier than trying to go all the way around right from the start. So we're just going to do that. Start in the middle. And the hot glue works really well with this because see how this is sticking out because it wasn't caught by the hot glue yet. If you're trying to use a regular glue, you'll have to figure out a way to get them on there and hold them until that glue dries. And, you know, that would be quite a long time. So that's why the hot glue for this, I don't use hot glue for a lot of projects, but some of them the hot glue is just the perfect thing to use because it grabs and it dries very quickly. So we're just going to do that. And if you have a bunch of strings hanging around, all you have to do is just heat up your heat tool, not a hair dryer, it has to be your heat tool, which we already got for the series, and heat it up, and then when it's hot, just hold on to your bead or set it down somewhere and just run it across a couple times. You don't want to melt all this glue you've got here, but it will shrivel up all of those hairs and they'll go away. And that's the easiest way to clean them up versus trying to cut them off or peel them off, especially if you're doing a project where you have a bunch of them. We've got 2 more to go. Whoops. I'm going to leave the wire part for last. Because I told you wrong. With the other ones that I used to make with the rondelles went, you know, they were wired in, so they weren't in the way. Okay, now I'm going to take this and push it to the center and then push it down just a little bit so that it's so that I can put my last bit of bling on here. And if you want, you can just cut that off and just glue your center on. You don't have to put the wire through the center. And be careful not to burn yourself. Alrighty. And then we'll just take, oh, that's right, this one is, got that glue all over my hands. I forgot that. I'm going to go in and I'm going to just now go in and touch these. Okay, and then just push them all up there to hold them down. And again, be very careful about burning yourself. My hands seem to be pretty tough. But you can always like just use a toothpick, use one of your skewers in order to pull those down into place so you don't get glue on your fingers. So there we go. And I forgot that this that this bead, I was going to just leave it because it was flat on the top and the hole did not go all the way through. That's the top of the bead. So now I have to get rid of this wire. I'm going to tuck it down in there. We have our wire cutters that we bought with our beading set, and I forgot to bring those to the table. So later I will go and I can go and cut this off a little bit. You don't want to cut it too short where it will unwind where you've twisted it up. And you can also just take it and just twist it around so that you know you don't cut it too short. Just use your beading tool to twist it around and just kind of stuff it up in the middle a little bit there on the bottom. And so then, and they look pretty even just this way. But what did I do? Here it is. So then I'm just going to put a little glue here in the middle. Just go around the edges. And even if I put the wire through the bead, I still usually glue it down. That just holds everything really solid. And there we go. Now we have a green one. And I just think that they're really, really pretty. I saw this, oh, I can't even remember where I saw it. When I first started watching YouTube for crafting is when I saw somebody start doing these, and I've seen them around over the years, but I just really have always thought that they were really pretty, and whenever I made anything flowers, I loved this for the centers, like if you made flower clips for people's hair or something. So we'll just, and then you can also use the silver side of your blingy stuff. If you don't have silver, you can just use the silver side of your gold or whatever other color that you have. And we'll just do one more with the blues so we can decide if we want the light blue bead on there or if we want the dark blue bead. So now the other thing is that when you're painting your beads, either use your skewers, which we did buy for the series. So we do have the skewers in our stash. But also, if you have toothpicks, they work really well too. And so you can just put your beads on those, paint them with the nail polish, and then I'm going to cut off this end while I can hold it easier. And then let them dry. Just don't leave them on your skewers for too long. And, you know, don't get a whole ton of your nail polish. See how it's harder now for me to hold this just because there's only 2 rows left. So that's what I was saying, when you're cutting them apart, it's always easier the first time or the first couple of times because this was 4 wide. Push your scissors right up against your blingy part. But yeah, that's how I paint my beads, or a lot of different things. Is, well, anything like a bead that has a hole in it, put it on a skewer, and then just take a piece of styrofoam. And so I always keep my styrofoam, and this one is starting to get very holy because I've used it to hold other things too that I've had to paint. And so it's getting very holy. It's not as stiff as it used to be, like when I stick my when you stick your skewer in there, sometimes I have to find a place to put it. So a lot of times when it starts getting very used up like that, then the next time I get a piece of foam, if I don't have room for 2 pieces, I get rid of the old one and keep the new one so that it's all fresh styrofoam to push your drying project into. Because styrofoam is a great thing to hold things straight while you're waiting for them to dry, or hold them upright so that, you know, if it's something like a bead that you're going all the way around and you can't let it just lay on a surface, you can put them on your skewers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm going to just brush all of these little hairs off of here so that they're just because. And then again, a piece of our wire. And the biggest thing is, don't totally skimp. Like I said, this is 4 to 6 inches. You know, you don't want to have a ton extra left over, but you do want to have enough left over to hold on to, enough left over to wrap it together. So, you know, so don't make it too skimpy. Don't make it like, don't think, oh, if I measure around here, that's like 3 inches. So I could cut it 3 inches and I can make more. You know, that sometimes makes it hard for you and makes it not as pleasurable to go ahead and do your projects. Or you get there and you have to redo it because it fell apart because you didn't have enough wire to twist around. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, like I said, this may be too much, but it's so much easier for me to get a hold of. And the younger you are, the more nimble your hands are. You can, you know, you can work with it a little bit better. As you get older and your hands aren't quite as nimble as they used to be, you just adjust. Okay, there we go. Just going to round that up a little bit. You're going to kind of make your round shape to start with, because once you start hot gluing it, it'll get to the point where it won't want to move. And so then again, we're just going to go from the center, kind of to the center. And I'm just going to do a couple of them. I'll probably do like 3 of them at the same time. Just to maybe make it go a little bit faster. Hopefully. I don't normally do this, so we'll see. And because you're putting your bead on the top when you're done, you want to get that down into the center. But you don't have to worry about the fact that they're going to kind of sit on top of each other a little bit, or one might be a little crooked, you know, down there in the middle, because you're not going to see those anyways. You just want them to be down in there so that it all looks, you can't see the end of it when you put your center bead on there. And again, I'm doing this really quickly, so, you know, I'm kind of getting hot glue all over the place. So make sure that you know, take your time and be safe, not to burn yourself. And there we go. I'm going to have to, I'm pretty sure I brought more hot glue sticks out here. But where? I'm very good at getting things together sometimes, because I know, here we are, they're under the beads. Sometimes I'm good at getting it all together, but then just finding it once I set it here on the table right in front of me, I still have a hard time. Ready? So I'm going to take this wire. Got glue hanging all over the place. Alrighty. And I can either bend it into the center, or if I wanted, I could also go, because this is so long, I can bring it from the bottom side up through the middle. And that gets it out of my way to do my last bit of gold. And it's there in the middle, ready to grab my center bead. Okay. Put a little bit on that last piece. And just wrap them down around. Now, normally when I'm done, what I do is I cut a small circle of our felt, and I cut it and I put it right underneath on the bottom, and that just finishes it off. It's nice to have that finishing touch sometimes, and that also makes it easier than if you're going to glue it to another project. You've got that felt there to put the glue on instead of a hole in the middle. So now I have to decide, do I like the light blue in the middle to give it some contrast? Or do I like the dark blue in the middle because it's just such a deep color? I like the dark blue in the middle better. I just really, that looks like such a, kind of reminds me of like a very royal color. It's not really the word I mean to say, but I think you'll know what I mean by that. And so now that I've got that there, I am going to make sure that I bend it over, bend my wire up and over so that it can go back down through the center, and then make sure that the holes of my bead are on the sides, not on the top. And so you're just going to adjust that. The nice thing about wire is once you get it adjusted to where you want it, it likes to stay there. You know, it stays bent easier than thread. Now, by doing that, I have kind of pulled this one off just a little bit, and this one. So I'm going to just push those right back, get a little glue and push them back down in there, because that's where the wire was. And again, because these were so hurried, sometimes they do not look quite as nice as the samples where you take a little bit more time. Now, this is the first time I've ever had this much problem with the glue coming off, and that may be because I was doing like 3 at a time instead of just doing them 1 at a time. That also may be why my glue is so messy, because normally my glue's not that messy, and I've never had these little beads come up before, or the little blingy parts. So I think I was getting in too much of a rush. But also, if you wanted to stick it in something, you could leave that wire stick down like that on the bottom so that you could stick it into you know, like a flower pot or something. This one will not go back down because that's where the wire is. So I am going to just cut that off because I would rather it not be sticking up. And there we go. So there's our blue one. And I think that that one turned out pretty good too, other than the fact that I kind of have a lot of glue. And if you have big chunks of glue, you can't really melt those back as well. You can a little bit, get them hot and kind of push it over. But if you get this too hot, what's going to happen is all that hot glue underneath is going to it's going to heat right back up again, and all of those will let loose. So you can only just do it with the strings and just kind of hit it, and the strings just shrivel right up. It works really well. So since I left that out the bottom, I'm going to stick this one in the middle where it can go right through that hole. And there we go. That's what today's project looks like. And just to kind of, I mean, I really don't think that you need any kind of a lesson in painting the beads, but see, here's the blue bead with the sparkle on it, and that's just the plain blue bead with the sparkle. So just kind of wanted to show you the difference. Put them on here, because I can only fit one at the top of a skewer, where you can fit a few more on a toothpick. But so I'm not sure if you can see, you know, that just that little bit of glitter just gives it that little extra something, especially with it being a wooden bead. If it was like a pearl bead, I wouldn't think much of it, but I do like, if you can see that there is a difference. I do like that sparkle on the blue bead versus just the plain. But you can do it however you like, and do them to match your projects, whatever kind of projects you're doing. You know, the more nail polish that you have, the more different colors you can do. You can make them polka dotted. And if you want to make it like polka dotted, but you're having a hard time with, let me shake this first. Oh, well, that was interesting. Okay. It doesn't want to stay on there. All right. It'll help me take it off, but it won't let me hold it to shake it. Oh, no. Okay, so if you're having a hard time trying to make a polka dot, a little tiny polka dot with this great big brush, what you can do is just take your, let's just do it on one of these blue ones. Just take your bead and put it on a skewer. So that it's nice and solid, so you got something solid to hold on to. And then just take another skewer and dunk it in your nail polish. And then you can make much tinier polka dots. Than if you were to use that great big brush. Oh, see, and I got too much on here, so that made a bigger dot, but there's a nice little dot there. And if you get it on there and you don't like it, you just wipe it off and try again. Or use your brush to just paint the whole thing and do another one with just polka dots. And this would probably work easier if I were to take some of this nail polish, like take it with the brush and drop it onto a palette, just, you know, a lid of some sort. And then you could dunk your skewer into the palette. Here we go. Oops, I don't know what I'm doing there. I have to figure out something to do with that. But there we go. So now we've got these little polka dots, and they're even puffed up a little bit. They might stay that way, they might not. And that bad one, again, like I said, you could just wipe it off before it dries. And that was just because I had way too much nail polish on my skewer. Because I can't see how far down there the nail polish is to get the skewer in there. And there we go. Now I'm happy with that. Now I've got some nice little bumped up gold dots on there. And then I'm just going to take this and just stick it in my styrofoam and let it dry. Now, with something like that, especially if you've got them bumped up quite a bit, and your nail polish isn't super thick where it might want to like run, then what you can do is just give it a little bit of time and just turn your bead for a little bit. Because what will happen is you won't have enough gravity on one of these spots to just pull them all the same way. If you just go ahead and just turn your bead for a while, you can blow on it if you want to or whatever. Just turn it for a little bit until it gets, you know, basically a coating on the outside, and then it will stay there and it will dry where it's at. But again, you know, I think that that bead right there is pretty cool bead. So thank you very much for stopping by. One other thing I was doing because I had this stuff out was these little plastics that we got, the little straws that we got, because I had the nail polish out. I just went ahead and just painted some of those with the nail polish. Now I did one coat. You could do two. I did one because you can kind of see that there's like pink and then white, you know, it's not a solid pink. I only did one coat after I did it because I liked the way that that looked. I thought that those little differences in color gives it just a little bit more interest. I do a lot of things that way where it's like, if I did two coats, I'd have a nice, really solid color. But the one coat, I just like the way that the one coat looks. So, but see, and then you can just cut them to any size that you want your beads to be. And I did some in blue, which I glued part of it down there now. But I did some in blue, so you can leave them any length that you want to. And that one see, in that one, look, the nail polish came off. So that's interesting. Just that one, because that one got smushed and stuck together, and the nail polish came off. So, but there we go. That's another thing that you can do with some of the things that you have in your stash. So here we go. These are what we made, and I really like the way they turned out. Oh, I know. This is the one. I found this one that I had done before, and I found that one, and that is what reminded me that I thought that we should do some of these. That's why that one is in there. I couldn't figure that out. I was cleaning stuff up, and I found it and thought that would be a fun thing to do. So thank you very much for stopping by. If you enjoy these tutorials, please share them with your friends and let them know my channel name and see if they'd like to stop by and watch some of these. I really do appreciate you all watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.